Whispering Pines is a play about a woman named Renata who lived with her husband Bruno behind the Berlin Wall in 1987 and struck up a very intense friendship with a young guy named Thomas who came to visit one night. He kind of fell in love with the couple and in love with Renata as well. And the play takes place more than 20 years later, as Renata has gotten her Stasi file as a result of after the wall falling and moving to Canada, and has discovered some interesting things facts about her husband.
Give us 2 minutes, we'll answer one question. Should you see it? The Great Canadian Theatre Company presents the world premiere of Whispering Pines. Written by Ottawa native and former resident playwright Richard Sanger, Whispering Pines explores a series of themes that range from love and loss to government control and betrayal. Unfortunately, the play is so convoluted and messy that I'm still trying to figure out what exactly went on. There's the plot. A socialist couple behind the Berlin Wall in 1987 meet an academic from Canada who turns their lives upside down, and then the three of them are reunited 20 years later on the shores of Lake Superior. And then there's the execution, which is a series of flashbacks, flashforwards, and imagined realities that leave the audience struggling to keep up with what may or may not actually be happening.
Once the Berlin Wall fell, the files that were kept by the secret police, the Stasi, were released to individuals who were investigated by this police force, and it turned out that something like 1 in 3 people in East Berlin were informers. So a lot of people had to confront a very dark past, and that's what Renata is really doing through a series of flashbacks and then reimagined encounters with her friends Thomas and Bruno.
The big problem was that there was no clarity whatsoever on the front end. Once scenes started repeating in different ways with no indication as to which were real, which were misremembered, or what have you, there's no frame of reference at all to ground you. And alright, the intent might have been for this to be more abstract. The GCTC artistic director alludes to it as a textured painting in the program, and there were a lot of pretty words, as you would expect from somebody like Sanger, who is a master of the English language, and who's received multiple nominations for the Governor General's Literary Award. But the truth is that the play just doesn't hold a lot of content. And of course, you can tell me I'm wrong. I've been called an art-hating twit before. I had to have missed the point if I'm being this critical of it. But at the same time, if I miss the point, I'm damn certain not to be the only one. Yes, art is subjective, and the play did have some merits that I'll talk about in just a second. But let's be honest with one another. You just can't layer so much complexity into a play that you have to see it 5 times in order to understand it. I suppose the interesting thing is that having us tell you the structure of the play going in might actually help your enjoyment of it. Whether that's too harsh or not, the silver lining and saving grace for Whispering Pines is the phenomenal portrayal of these very complex and secretive characters by actors Chris Joseph, Tracy Ferenz, and Paul Rainville. These 3 very talented actors took a very complex play and made it watchable. This was my very first opportunity to see any of them perform, and I can't wait for the chance to see them again in something that's hopefully a little less convoluted. In the end, this play needed to be a little less abstract, but there was a lot of pretty prose that was excellently staged and spoken.
Come out to the GCTC at the Irving Greenberg Theatre Center. We're running Whispering Pines from October the 25th, where our previews start, right through to November the 13th. Yeah, so the neat thing for us is that we get to play different versions of our characters based on her imagination. So it's a neat challenge for an actor to have 3 or 4 different takes on their character and what that character might, how that character might behave and what they might be like. So it's quite fascinating.